Millionaire's daughter hidden from life. Discover the amazing act of a poor boy that changed everything. Emily Hart was a princess trapped in a gilded cage. 16, wealthy and sheltered, her life was dictated by her father, James Hart. A successful entrepreneur, he believed that sheltering her from the world was the key to preserving their legacy. Lavish parties, manicured gardens, and playdates with other elite children shaped her existence, each day a repetitive ballet of privilege. Meanwhile, just a few miles away, Tommy Waters toiled in the trenches of reality. A hard-working boy from a single-parent home who didn't have time for play, juggling multiple jobs and supporting his mother through struggles that made Emily's routine sound like a dream. He had the heart of a lion and the spirit of a community hero. Everything shifted when Emily stepped into the local community center, a vibrant hub that contrasted sharply with her controlled life. The air buzzed with laughter as children played, their faces alight with possibility, while homeless families received warm meals. It was here that she met Tommy, busy organizing games and helping out. His passion was contagious. Every time she saw him, she felt a tug at her heart, happiness mingled with guilt. As summer swirled around them, Emily quickly became drawn into the daily operations of the center. Tommy endlessly worked, practically glowing with purpose as he ensured that the center was a haven for those who needed it most. She started understanding the value of hard work, how it felt to strive for something greater than oneself. Every moment spent under the fluorescent lights of the center was a flicker away from her father's leering expectations. In those afternoons, amidst crayons and giggles, Tommy showed her the beauty of resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now, let's continue. Just as Emily began to embrace the joys of her new life, a crisis hit. Rumors swirled through the community. The center was on the verge of closing. When she approached her father about it, James's eyes darkened. "We don't get involved in those things, Emily. Focus on your gala. It's important." Torn between loyalty to her father and her love for the community, she felt the ground beneath her begin to shake. That night, she stumbled upon something in her father's study, a box filled with documents, secrets, whispers of a past promise to the community center that James never honored. The weight of revelation pressed heavily on her chest. The charity gala hung over her like a dark cloud, symbolizing everything James valued and everything she was beginning to question. In one pivotal moment, she had to choose: stand beside Tommy and fight for the center's survival, or walk the tightly woven path of privilege her father had paved. Everything in her body screamed for change as she internalized the truth against a backdrop of glittering chandeliers, a choice that could shatter everything she knew and redefine who she was meant to be. Would she heed her father's plans or fight for the people who needed her most? As she prepared for the gala, the community's plight echoed louder than the music drifting through her home, forcing her to confront her own heart-wrenching reality. Emily stood in front of the mirror, her reflection barely registering through the fog of her thoughts. The beautiful gown draped over her shoulders felt like a burden rather than a gift. Every delicate bead whispered her father's expectations, but her heart was beating for something else. As the day of the gala approached, the contrast between her two worlds became unbearable. Tommy's laughter echoed in her mind, a stark reminder of the joy she felt at the community center. It pulsed through her veins, competing against the suffocating weight of high society. She remembered their conversations late into the night about dreams that felt tenable, about hope that didn't come with conditions. In those moments, surrounded by laughter and warmth, Emily felt free. But now, amid the glitz of her father's gala, the freedom felt like a distant memory. As she descended the grand staircase of her home, the scent of fresh flowers mixed with the crispness of clean linens filled the air. Each step was a reminder of the role she was expected to play. Guests in sharp suits and elegant dresses swirled around her, heads turning in admiration. They smiled and offered compliments, but their polished words felt hollow. "Emily, darling," a voice called out, cutting through the noise. It was one of her father's business partners, thick with charm, but his eyes were cold and calculating. "You look stunning tonight. Ready to impress the guests?" She forced a smile, her thoughts elsewhere. "Thank you." The words slipped from her lips with practice ease. All she could think about was the children at the center, the families who relied on the warmth that had been built brick by brick, day by day. It was a world where people looked out for one another, rather than just numbers on a balance sheet. Suddenly, as if the universe conspired to tear her from the gala's grasp, her phone buzzed in her pocket. She stepped away from the crowd, slipping into a quieter room, hearts pounding. It was a message from Tommy. "We're gathering at the center tomorrow to plan a fundraiser for the community. We need your voice."
The words flared in her chest. Stepping out of her luxurious prison suddenly felt both exhilarating and terrifying. She could feel the tide turning. Would she find a way to leave behind the demands of her father's event? Could she stand up, not just for herself, but for the people who had become her new family? Taking a deep breath, Emily glanced at herself in the ornate mirror. She was ready for a change. "I can do this," she whispered. But doubt flickered in the back of her mind. Images of her father's disappointment surged. The conditions surrounding her life came crashing down like shattered glass, threatening to cut her. As she strode back into the gala, the weight of her dual life pressed heavily on her shoulders. She felt torn, caught between two realities, neither of which truly felt like home. Her heart raced with the knowledge that a choice loomed ahead, one that could either break her family's legacy or redefine who she was meant to be. The night stretched before her like a chasm, and she realized that the narrow path she stood on could lead her to one of two endings: a life of splendid isolation, or a chance to uncover her true self alongside Tommy and the community. And at that moment, amidst laughter and applause, she made a decision that could change everything. What would be the first step? Standing resolutely in the crowd, Emily thought about the risks ahead. The questions hung over her like a storm cloud. Would anyone understand? Could she truly turn her back on the expectations of her father? But as she faced the sea of faces in the gala, one flicker of hope remained, small yet powerful. And then all she could see was a path leading directly to the center, away from the glitz and towards something real. With her heart pounding, she whispered to herself, "It's time." But just as she was ready to make the leap, she heard her father's voice calling her name, sharp and demanding. "Emily, where are you?" In that instant, a chill washed over her, raising the stakes higher than ever. What would happen if she stepped out of line? The tension mounted as she realized she was on the brink of a choice that could shatter her father's world or build a new one. Would she embrace the challenge? Would she risk everything for the people she had grown to love? As Emily turned to answer her father, a flame ignited deep inside her. It was a moment tinged with uncertainty, but also filled with promise. The time for action was near, and she knew her life would never be the same again. What awaited her outside the castle of expectations? As she faced the doorway, she could feel the tide of change roaring just within reach. Emily spun around, heart racing, the weight of her father's voice pulling her back to reality. She plastered a smile onto her face, but it felt more like a mask than her true self. She turned to look for him, forced to navigate through the swirling crowd of patrons who seemed to advertise wealth as if it were a new perfume. "Emily!" His voice was sharper now, cutting through the laughter and chatter like a knife. "Come here, darling." As she edged closer, she felt trapped. The sheer opulence of the event was stifling. Each smile pointed her back toward the life her father envisioned for her, a future lined with social obligations, high society galas, and carefully curated interactions. It was a gilded cage, and she longed for freedom. "What were you doing?" her father asked, concern furrowing his brow. "You shouldn't wander off at events like this." "I was..." her voice faltered. Then she pushed forward. "I was just taking a moment. Next time, come find me." He adjusted his bow tie, his expression softening. "We need to stay together. These people are vital to our business." The urgency in his tone triggered something deep in Emily. It ignited the frustration she had been fending off. "Dad, this isn't just about your business. It's about fun, about life, about people, real people who care." For a moment, shock flickered across his face, and her heart sank. Had she just said too much? But the roar of emotions in her chest dared her to continue. "I love the center. I love helping people. I want to be part of something real, not just a financial transaction." "Emily," he sighed, his eyes darting around to see if anyone was within earshot. "You're not thinking clearly. This gala, this
A sweep of his hand tried to encompass the grandeur around them. It's all part of who you are now. Who she was? Emily felt the sting of tears forming. Who I am is not defined by your standards. The words echoed louder than she intended, drawing the attention of nearby guests. She could feel their curious eyes on her, judging, scrutinizing. Do you want to embarrass the family? Her father lowered his voice, anger flashing. But something inside her snapped. Emily gazed past the attendees, imagining the crowded, unpretentious community center. There was laughter there, genuine smiles, and a sense of belonging that felt so far removed from the cold reality of the gala. I want to be me, she finally shouted, stepping back, her body tingling with adrenaline from both fear and exhilaration. Her father's expression hardened, and Emily braced herself for what could come next. But before he could respond, she caught a glimpse of Tommy at the edges of the crowd, his warm eyes locking onto hers. His presence felt like a life buoy thrown into turbulent waters, pulling her back into the current of her true existence. I need to go, she declared, more to herself than the imposing figure of her father. Emily, don't you dare walk away from me. He reached out, but she stepped beside him, feeling alive in her decision. She stepped past guests who looked on in astonishment, whispers and gasps following as she made her way to the exit.
Each stride felt like a reclaiming of her identity. The door was within reach, and with it came the promise of a new direction. Outside, the cool evening air hit her face like a breath of fresh freedom, and she felt lighter than she had in ages. In that illuminating moment, she turned back to the gala just as her father burst through the door, anger written across his features. You're making a mistake. Emily stood firm. Am I? Or is this the first step toward my own life? But before he could answer, she began to walk away, feeling the strength of her choice grow with each step. What awaited her at the center? Would Tommy still want her support after her wild outburst? And as she raced down the sidewalk towards a life unchained, her heart beat not just for herself, it beat for every person she longed to uplift. Would they embrace her fully? The answer lay just ahead, shrouded in the night, but tugging at her essence with undeniable hope. She ran, her breath coming in quick bursts as the glow of the streetlights flickered like her newfound courage. Each step brought her closer to the community center, where the air was filled with sincere laughter and the chatter of friends who felt like family. The world behind her felt so distant now, like a page she was ready to turn. Tommy stood by the entrance, his hands shoved deep in his pockets, concern shadowing his face. When he saw her, relief washed over his features, and he hurried toward her. Emily, I was just about to head inside. I didn't know where you went. I just needed to get out, she said, her voice trembling slightly as she met his gaze. I had to get away from all of that. She gestured vaguely back at the opulent building, its elegance feeling absurdly out of place here. His brow furrowed, and he stepped closer, concern still etched in his expression. Are you okay? Your dad wasn't... He was furious, but I don't care anymore. The fervor in her voice caught her by surprise. I want to be here. No more pretending. I want to help. I want to be with people who actually care about each other, not just about money or appearances. He grinned, a mixture of admiration and pride shining in his eyes. That's what I've been waiting to hear. Come on, we're starting the new project this week. We could really use your ideas. Emily felt her heart lift at the thought of contributing. What are we working on? Just a little community garden project, he said, brushing off the implication of little with a casual wave. We're hoping to grow fresh vegetables for the food pantry. It would be great for the families around here. Visions of dirt-caked hands and the warmth of the sun flooded her mind. That sounds amazing, she said, much more passionately than she had anticipated. I want in. As they walked inside, the celebratory hum enveloped them. Paintings from local artists adorned the walls, and the vibrant chatter resonated like music. Emily's pulse quickened in the best way, the kind of excitement that settled in her chest and spread warmth through her. Hey everyone, Tommy called out, and the atmosphere shifted as heads toward them. Meet the new addition to our project crew, Emily, the gal from the gala. A round of welcoming cheers erupted, and she felt a rush of belonging flood over her. Here, among these people, the burdens of her upbringing fell away. Glad to have you, said one woman, her smile bright and genuine. Emily returned it with full force, realizing this was where she belonged. These faces were real, unfiltered by the expectations of wealth or prestige. After a brief discussion about logistics, they settled excitedly into different tasks, laughter mingling with shoveling and planting. The work felt honest, every ounce of dirt beneath her nails grounding her in the moment. But as she turned to Tommy, ready to share her ideas, she noticed something flicker behind his eyes, a hesitation. "What's wrong?" she asked, concern pulling at her. He sighed, glancing at the group, then back at her. "Do you really think it's okay to just abandon that life? Your dad—" "I don't care about that," Emily exclaimed, her heart pounding. "I'm finally starting to figure out who I am." "But what if he doesn't let you go that easily?" Tommy pressed, uncertainty etched in his features. Her breath caught momentarily. Would her father really fight this? The thought lingered, but in this moment, illuminated by the center's warm glow, she felt fortified. "Then I'll stand my ground." As she turned to join the others, the decision glowed bright in her mind. The stakes felt higher now, and she was ready to face them. The night lay ahead, promising a struggle, but also the sweetest of victories. Yet, as laughter rang out around her, a shadow crept back into her mind. What would happen when her father discovered her choice? Would she be strong enough to hold on to her newfound freedom? The sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow that enveloped the community center like a comforting blanket. Emily dove right into the work, her hands reaching for the soil of the newly plotted garden beds. The scent of earth filled her senses, grounding her and stealing her breath away with its simplicity. Here, she felt alive, really alive. Tommy worked beside her, his laughter mingling with the chatter of their friends. It felt like a dance they'd all joined in on, a rhythm celebrating freedom and collective effort. As they pushed through the evening, the patches of soil turned into rows of expectation, and the weeds of doubt started to wither in Emily's mind. She couldn't shake the thrill that surged through her when she shared her ideas for the garden. "What if we set up a small area for children to learn about planting? Something interactive," she suggested, eyes sparkling with enthusiasm. Tommy nodded. "I love that. The kids would have a blast, and it teaches them something important."
The conversation moved seamlessly, branching out to plans for worshiping spring with a festival showcasing their produce. Laughter swelled through the group, with Emily realizing something had shifted. She spoke, and people listened. It was exhilarating, like discovering a part of herself that had been waiting to shine. But the joy was punctured by a sharp memory of her father's voice, his dismissal, his expectations, the looming shadow of his wealth. That familiar anxiety buzzed in her stomach. What would he do if he knew she was happy here? Would he try to pull her back into that gilded cage? "Emily? Hey!" Tommy's voice pulled her from her thoughts. He stood, dirt-smudged but grinning, offering her a hand. "You all right? You spaced out for a second." "Yeah, I'm good," she replied, though her heart felt heavy. Would this moment, this newfound happiness, be fleeting? As dusk transformed into night, she felt a mix of hope and fear entwining in her chest. The stakes were higher now, and the community around her was alive with potential, but it felt precarious. Julie, another volunteer, burst into laughter, pulling Emily back into the circle of warmth. "You won't believe what just happened. Little Timmy thought he could plant a whole row of hot peppers instead of radishes." Everyone erupted in laughter, and it swept through Emily like a cleansing wave. She joined in, her worries fading just a little. This was community. This was real life. "Hey, we should all go for ice cream after this," Tommy suggested, exuberance dancing in his voice. "Count me in," Emily shouted, finally allowing herself to enjoy the moment. The sweet urgency of connection wrapped around her, pushing the fear from her mind. But later that night, as they hung out, surrounded by laughter and giddy energy, her phone buzzed. The caller ID flashed, Dad. Heart racing, she stared at it like it was a reprimand instead of a simple call. 1,000 thoughts rushed through her mind, blanketing her joy in shadows. Should she answer? What would he say? Would he try to drag her back, away from here? Tommy leaned over, noticing her tension. "Everything all right?" "Not yet," she whispered, the conflict choking her. She turned her eyes back to the screen, a decision hovering on the edge. As the others continued to joke and tease about silly plans for the garden, Emily's heart raced for a different reason. She had the chance to stand firm against her father's influence, but at what cost? With a shaky breath, she felt the ground beneath her shift once more. Could she hold her ground without losing herself or the people here she had come to care about? The call kept buzzing, and with every ring, it echoed the greatest question of all. Was she ready to fight for her freedom, even if it meant confronting the past she was trying to escape? Emily sat frozen, the buzzing of her phone a constant reminder of the life she was trying to break free from.
Surrounded by the laughter and warmth of her friends, the contrast felt stark. Each ring pulled her deeper into her anxiety. She could sense Tommy's eyes on her, concern mingling with unspoken questions. "Are you going to answer it?" he asked gently. I don't know," she stammered, biting her lip. Every second she waited felt like a weight pressing down on her chest. What if her father was calling to check on her, to remind her of her responsibilities? Or worse, what if it was more insistent than that, a demand dressed as concern? Take a breath, Tommy suggested, his voice steady. You don't have to let his world define you. He placed a reassuring hand on her shoulder, and for a moment the warmth of his touch distracted her from the chaos inside. But then the laughter burst through again like a firework, bright and loud. It filled the evening air, pulling her closer to the community, pulling her away from the looming call. Emily felt torn. She wanted to immerse herself in this new life, but her past flickered just beyond reach, relentless and probing. Hey everyone, Julie chimed in, leaning over to Emily. What's it gonna be? Are we doing ice cream or not? I need my sugar fix. The moment lightened as their laughter collided with Emily's uncertainty. It's okay to be both, she thought, to love this newfound freedom, but also navigate the ties that bind her to her father's expectations. That felt necessary, but the buzzing persisted, insistent as the darkness that wrapped around her thoughts. I need a moment, Emily finally blurted out. She ducked away from the group and into a quieter part of the community center, her heart thundering in her chest. Standing in the semi-darkness, she wrestled with the decision. Finally, she turned the phone over. The screen illuminated the vibrancy of her father's contact photo, always smiling, always in control. Suddenly, with a brave exhale, she pressed the green button. The call connected, and she felt lightheaded. It was now or never. Emily, her father's voice came through, polished and authoritative, but she didn't let it take her breath away. Dad, she started, her voice steady. I'm okay. I'm doing something important here. A pause followed, heavy and filled with unspoken judgment. I hope you're not getting too distracted. We need to talk about your future. She could almost see the disappointment radiating from him. My future is here, Dad, she replied, her voice stronger than she felt. I'm building something with these people. I want this garden to thrive. I want to teach. What about your responsibilities? He pressed. I have responsibilities here too, she shot back, the passion sparking within her like a flame. I have people counting on me. There was another pregnant silence, and for the first time, Emily felt a power surging within her, like a root breaking through soil to find the sun. Finally, her father's voice slipped back into its usual authoritative tone.
We'll see how long that lasts. Before she could respond, the call clicked off, leaving her standing alone in the dim light. Emily felt an incredible rush. Her heart raced, but it was different now. No longer was it just fear. She felt relief washing over her, spilling into her soul like rain soaking into parched earth. As she stepped back into the main room, the laughter washed over her again, and she shared a knowing smile with Tommy. I chose, she whispered to herself, as if affirming a truth that had long been buried. Everything okay? He asked, meeting her gaze with warmth and curiosity. Yeah, she said, the joy creeping back. Everything's just getting started. But as her friends toasted to ice cream and future harvests, a dark thought began to creep in. Would she be able to keep standing strong against her father? Could she truly cultivate this life all on her own? She looked at the group, her heart warmed by their laughter, yet the seed of doubt lingered, waiting for its moment to sprout. The sound of the door slamming shut pulled her from her thoughts. Hey, who's ready for ice cream? Julie called out as the cool night air swept in, the smell of promise mingling with sweet hope. Emily clenched her fist tight, savoring the taste of victory, but the path ahead loomed dark and uncertain. Could she really thrive amidst both the warmth of her new life and the shadows of her past? And in that moment, she realized that the real fight wasn't just against her father, but within herself. Could she become the person she dreamed of being? Determined not to let fear win again, she stepped forward. What would be waiting for her in both worlds? The question hung in the air like the smell of the flowers in the garden, beautiful, yet complex and filled with potential. Emily joined her friends, a half-smile dancing on her lips. They gathered around the dessert table, where bowls of melting ice cream were topped with colorful sprinkles and whipped cream, a stark contrast to the heavy conversation she had just left behind. Get in here, Em, Julie exclaimed, waving her over like a general calling troops to battle. The energy was contagious, and Emily could feel herself being drawn back in, away from the shadows of doubt that still lingered in her mind. As laughter erupted, Emily's heart pulsed with a mix of joy and uncertainty. She wanted to savor this moment, the sweetness of their camaraderie, the aroma of the desserts,
the glow of twinkling fairy lights overhead, but at the same time, the heaviness of her father's words loomed over her like a dark cloud. "Are you going to join us, or just stand there looking lost?" Tommy quipped, taking a big scoop of ice cream. His playful gaze filled her with warmth, anchoring her in the present. "Right," she said, forcing her voice to sound lively. "Ice cream, coming right up." She mixed her favorites, vanilla swirled with fudge and topped with cherries, her mouth watering at the sight.
As she took her first bite, the taste of vanilla hugged her senses, bringing a flicker of the freedom she craved. But then she caught herself imagining her father again, his disapproving glance when she hadn't followed the expected path, his voice echoing her responsibilities, her so-called future. "Hey, what's on your mind?" Tommy's voice broke through, genuine concern in his eyes. He leaned closer, his brow furrowed. "You seem off." Emily weighed her answer carefully. "Just thinking about everything," she admitted. "About what it means to become my own person, I guess." His look softened. "It's scary, huh? But you're doing it, right here, right now." "Yeah," she sighed, letting the warmth of the ice cream melt some of the ice in her chest. Maybe Tommy was right. It was okay to feel scared. Maybe that was part of the growth. As they rejoined the group, Emily couldn't shake off the lingering doubt. Could she really commit to this life? Could she forge her own identity without the shadows of her past creeping back in to pull her down? Julie began planning their next meetup. "I was thinking we could do a community potluck next week. We can showcase our favorite dishes and we'll even have a little talent show." The crowd erupted in cheers and laughter, but Emily felt a pang in her heart. Could she offer something to the potluck? What would she even bring? The thought of her father's judgment gnawed at her resolve to step fully into this new world. "Emily," Julie's voice cut through her thoughts, "you in for the potluck?" "Of course, sounds fun," Emily replied, forcing enthusiasm into her tone, but deep down she felt a pit of uncertainty. "Awesome, I'll hold you to it," Julie winked, before turning back to the group, excitement radiating from her. As the evening continued, Emily felt a low rumble in her chest, a mixture of anticipation and dread. The night embodied potential, a dance of laughter and connection, but at the same time, the unanswered question loomed. Would she manage to navigate her father and her dreams, or would she find herself lost in the confusion? Just then, her phone buzzed again, pulling her thoughts sharply back. She glanced at the screen. It was a message from her father, a simple string of words. The weight of it hung in the air, a dark shroud threatening to suffocate the laughter around her. "Have you thought more about your future?" Her heart sank. Would this ever end? And as she faced this moment, she was torn, caught between the carefree joy of youth and the somber weight of expectation. The real battle was just beginning, and Emily was about to realize that every choice she made would echo into her future. Could she rise to face what was coming? Would she keep choosing her own path, or would she finally give in to the shadows? Emily's fingers hovered over her phone, a mixture of dread and resolve swirling deep inside her. She could feel the joyful chatter of her friends closing in around her, yet she felt more distant than ever. "What's your dad saying?" Tommy asked gently, as if sensing the tide of her thoughts. "Just checking in, I guess," she replied, keeping her tone deliberately light. "Normal stuff." But the truth clawed at her. Nothing felt normal. The laughter and joy around her were bright, but the shadows of her father's expectations darkened the edges of her mind. She felt like she was fighting against a piece of her own past every time she even thought about her future. "Come on, let's go outside for a second," Julie shouted, her voice cutting through Emily's internal struggle. She dragged Emily with her as Tommy followed, the air cooler and fresher outside the glow of the party lights. The backyard was dotted with cozy chairs and a small fire pit glowing warmly. Emily inhaled deeply, allowing the scent of burning wood to ground her momentarily. A few of their friends were gathered around, roasting marshmallows and sharing stories. It was a perfect scene, yet Emily felt like an outsider looking in. "All right, what's really bothering you?" Julie pressed, her tone shifting from cheerful to concerned. "It's just my dad," Emily said, her voice barely a whisper. "I thought coming here would help me escape that pressure, but it's all I can think about." "He wants the best for you, Em. Parents are just complicated," Tommy offered, his eyes sincere. "But what if I don't want the life he's planned for me?" Emily dared to ask, the floodgates of her doubt opening wide. "What if I want something different, something that scares me?" Julie pulled her into a side hug.
then you just have to figure out what that something is. We're here to support you, even if it takes 1,000,000 tries. Just because he's your dad doesn't mean you have to do everything he says. At that moment, a loud cheer erupted from the other side of the yard. 2 of their friends had successfully roasted the perfect marshmallow and were now engaged in a friendly fireball battle. Laughter bubbled up around them, and for a fleeting moment, Emily felt the possibility of joy again. "What if I fail?" she asked, her voice trembling. It was a fear that hung like a weight in her lungs. Not just the fear of disappointing her father, but of stepping out into an unknown world. "What if you succeed?" Tommy countered, his easy smile brightening even the darkest corners of her worry. "What if you discover something amazing about yourself? You'll never know unless you try." Emily's heart raced at the thought. The words hung in the air, settling deep within her like seeds of hope. She felt a flicker of light. Maybe it was possible to embrace uncertainty and still carve her own path. "All right, potluck plans," Julie yelled, a burst of energy radiating from her, aiming to pull Emily back into the moment. "What should we bring?"
Emily opened her mouth to speak, and for the first time, something genuine bubbled up. "How about my mom's famous lasagna? I can—" Julie's eyes widened. "Yes, that's perfect! I've always wanted to try it." Suddenly, the idea of sharing a part of her world felt less like showing off and more like an invitation to connect. And as excitement swirled around her, she realized there was a strength in vulnerability. But then, the buzz of her phone cut through once more. The familiar name loomed on the screen. It was her father again, and this time, it didn't just feel like a wait, it felt like a test. "You still haven't answered my question, Emily." As her friends pulled her back into their laughter, she found herself staring at the screen, her heart pounding with a new fear. What if she never answered it? What if, in that very choice, she found both freedom and truth? And as she began to type, she couldn't shake the sense that this was only the beginning, the next step in her journey to redefine what the future really meant. Could she really face whatever came next? Would she finally find the courage to break free? Emily's heart thudded loudly in her chest as she stared at the message on her screen. Tears threatened to spill as the weight of it all squeezed around her. She had a physical ache, a tightness that felt like a noose tightening with every thought of her father's expectations. "What are you going to tell him?" Tommy asked, his voice soft but steady, bringing her back to the warm glow of the fire pit and the laughter of her friends. "I don't know," she replied truthfully, swallowing hard. "I've never said no to him. What if I disappoint him?" Her friends exchanged glances. "Whatever you decide, it's your choice," Julie said with gentle firmness. "Just think about what you really want." But Emily didn't know. The future felt like a maze of unknown paths and dead ends. She had followed her father's plans her whole life, and the comfort of that predictable path was suddenly feeling more like shackles rather than safety. The image of the lasagna floated in her mind, warm and bubbling. A small burst of happiness shot through her. It was a recipe passed down from her mother, a piece of home she hadn't shared in ages. It felt like reclaiming a part of herself. "Okay, how about we make this lasagna together?" she proposed, looking at her friends. "The one Mom used to make. It'll be fun." "Wait, we're cooking?" laughed Tommy, raising his brow. "I mean, I'm all in, but you guys are the cooks, right?" Julie grinned. "We can make it a team effort. Besides, it's bound to be more interesting than any old potluck dish." Emily felt lighter, the laughter forging a bridge past her earlier distress. The task ahead seemed manageable now, a way to funnel her worries into something tangible and heartwarming. As they gathered supplies from the kitchen, her phone buzzed again, but she ignored it. Instead, she busied herself with rolling out dough, the flour dusting her hands like confetti. At that moment, the warm atmosphere and the joyful chatter of her friends felt like a cocoon. "Emily," Tommy called over the sounds of clattering dishes and discussing ingredients, "are you okay?" She paused, her heart bubbling with uncertainty, ready to spill everything. She turned to him, her mind swirling with confessions. What if I take a leap? What if I really try to do something different? Everyone fell quiet, their eyes locking onto her. "Then you do it," Tommy said simply, and he smiled, the kind of smile that felt like a warm blanket. "You just gotta take that leap, even if it feels scary." Her throat tightened again, but this time from something much softer. Hope. As they mixed and chopped, laughter burst forth with every mishap, every burnt noodle, and the kitchen brimmed with a warmth that pushed back Emily's fears. However, in the back of her mind, a nagging doubt remained, her father's voice echoing in her head. "You still haven't answered my question." The phone buzzed yet again, demanding her attention. It felt like a knife pressing against her resolve. She knew that answering might resolve some fears, but also deepen the gulf between them. "Hey, what's wrong?" Julie's voice broke into her thoughts. "You've gone quiet again." Emily took a deep breath, holding on to the moment. "Just thinking about how I don't want to be hidden away in my father's plans anymore. I want to find my own direction." "Then let's start with lasagna," Tommy said, breaking the tension with a grin. "You're not hidden. You're right here, Em. Own it." A sudden urge surged within her. Maybe it was time to break that silence, time to write her own story. Sitting at the table, she finally poised her fingers above her phone one more time, determination mixing with vulnerability. What if this time she let go of the fear? What if she found her voice? With a deep breath, she began to type, ready to embrace whatever came next. But just as she hit send, the doorbell rang, shattering the moment. Her heart skipped. Who could it be? As she exchanged glances with her friends, she scanned the doorway, sensing that once again, everything was about to change. The door swung open, and there stood a figure that felt both daunting and familiar. It was her father, his imposing silhouette framed by the soft light of the porch. Emily's heart raced. The air felt electric, charged with the tension of unresolved conflict and long-held wishes. "Emily," he said, voice tinged with impatience, "we need to talk." She could feel the room shrink around her, the warmth of her friends suddenly feeling distant. But the neat rows of dishes laid out on the kitchen counter, her lasagna in the making, reminded her why she was here. This was her space now, vibrant and alive. "Dad, I'm in the middle of something important," she replied, her voice steadier than she felt.
The shock of his arrival shook her resolve, but the laughter of her friends echoed in her ears, a reminder of all she cherished. "Important? All of this?" He gestured dismissively toward the kitchen chaos. "You need to come back to reality. You can't ignore what's at stake for our family." Her friends exchanged quiet glances, sensing the gravity of the confrontation. Julie stepped forward, her voice unwavering. "Emily is making a choice about her own life, Mr. Hart." James's gaze flicked between his daughter and the unfamiliar faces surrounding her. "I don't know what nonsense you've gotten caught up in, but this isn't the way," he snapped, fraying Emily's nerves. Yet amidst the tension, a fire ignited inside her. She took a step forward, eyes blazing with the confidence she had found in this community. "You never understood what makes me happy, Dad. You've only ever cared about legacy, money, and what you think is best. But that's not who I am anymore." The silence that followed was palpable as her words hung in the air, filled with the weight of years of struggle and longing. It felt liberating and terrifying all at once. Tommy stood by Emily's side, his presence a solid anchor. "She's here to build something real, Mr. Hart, something that gives back." "Like you?" He shot back, his disdain piercing. "Working with the less fortunate? This isn't a fairy tale. It's simply impractical." Emily felt a pang at the harshness of his words, the way he dismissed everything she was striving for. Impractical? She searched for the words, her heart racing. "This place, these people, they aren't a burden. They're a family I found when I felt lost. Purpose isn't impractical, Dad. It's everything." The corners of his mouth tightened, his expression unreadable, but in her chest she felt the flame roar to life. "You can't keep trying to script my life. I'm done hiding. I want to invest my heart somewhere meaningful." Finally, something flickered in his steely demeanor, a moment of uncertainty, perhaps even fear. "Emily, you're only 16. You don't understand the consequences of these choices." "No," she countered, drawing strength from every challenge she faced. "I'm starting to understand exactly what I want, and it's not in the plans you laid out." "But what about our name, our reputation?" His tone was frantic, as if they were all that mattered. "Is our reputation more important than our integrity?" Emily shot back, and for the first time, she felt the grace of clarity wash over her. "Enough," he smeared against her defiance, stepping deeper into the room. The burdens of his expectations poured out. "You're throwing away a future for a dream that doesn't exist. You can't do this alone." But she wasn't alone. Not anymore. "No," Tommy interjected, fierce and unyielding. "We're all in this together. Emily has a community here that supports her, and this is her choice."
The room seemed to hold its breath, a standoff between two worlds that could have been, yet felt irreversibly shifted. The fire crackled behind them, illuminating the intensity in Emily's heart. "Dad, I love you, and I know you think this is best for me," Emily continued softly, "but I have to follow my own path, even if it doesn't look like the one you wanted for me." "Emily, don't make this harder than it needs to be," he warned, the desperation creeping into his voice.
But in that moment, something clicked. She was not just a reflection of his dreams or desires. She was her own person, strong, independent, and brimming with the flame of newfound purpose. "I will always love you, but I can't let fear dictate my life anymore," she declared with a quiver of vulnerability, standing tall. "The truth is, I want to make a difference, starting now." Tears pricked her eyes, but this was not about defeat. It was about embracing her journey. And with that, she turned away from the shadow that had held her captive for so long, turning towards the support of her friends who stood ready beside her. "Let's finish what we started," Emily said, a fierce determination igniting her heart. The hurdle felt small compared to the life sprawling before her. As her friends cheered, the warmth of acceptance enveloped her again. The laughter, the community, they felt genuine and true. "What's that, Dad?" she called back over her shoulder with a small grin. "About not throwing away this moment?" He had no retort. She felt the grip of his presence begin to fade. With her heart soaring and her soul alive, Emily finally turned her back on the door that had momentarily gripped her in fear. She embraced the people who had become her family, immersing them in the laughter, warmth, and love that she had craved. That night, they finished the lasagna, shared their dreams, and rooted in the knowledge that even amidst uncertainty, they would forge ahead together. And as she savored every bite, Emily knew a new chapter was unfolding. There would be challenges ahead, and more phone calls probably, but she felt ready to nurture the seeds of hope she'd planted, right here with those who mattered. She smiled, truly smiling, embracing the undeniable truth that her life was hers to shape. Together, they forged ahead, united upward, soaked in possibility and profound love. This was just the beginning, and as the stars blanketed the night sky, Emily could finally breathe, knowing she was free to live the life she had chosen, a life filled with purpose, warmth, and connection. It was a leap she finally had the courage to take, and she wouldn't look back. Subscribe immediately to our channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories of transformation and hope. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm. Your support is crucial, and it makes all the difference. Comment below your reactions and feelings about Emily's journey.
And share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to see this remarkable transformation. You need to show your support now. Don't wait not even one more second to share.